Just a word about what is EUROMONTANA. So we are the European Association for Mountain Areas. We represent about 70 members in 15 countries, which can be like local authorities, organizations for local development, for research institute, etc. And what groups together all those organizations is the common vision that mountains are territories with a future, and that are also opportunities for Europe. So, and also just to give you figures, you have to know that mountain region is about 36% of European territories, with a population of almost 120 inhabitants. So we started working on energy in, well, about 2 years ago. Well, it's because, you know, the influence of climate change in mountain areas will be pretty strong, and we think that mountain regions can take a part in facing those new challenges, and that we can contribute also to the EU 2020 objectives. So, well, first, where do we start from? So mountain areas have specific constraints. As you all know, there is a harsh climate, so when you live in the mountain areas in winter, it's pretty cold. You have really high needs of energy consumption for heating. You also have physical constraints, like the slopes. When you want to build infrastructure there, well, it's much more difficult than in plenary areas. And most of mountain regions, also rural regions, with the problem of dispersion of population, which increases, again, the cost of building and of maintenance of energy networks. On the other hand, mountain regions have great assets and great resources. So water, which is already exploited a lot with production of hydroelectricity. There is the sun, there is biomass, and here I'm talking mainly about wood, because, well, forests cover about 40% of mountain areas. There's also wind, there's also geothermal energy. So this is why we think that mountain areas can contribute. And mountain areas have huge ambitions about what they can do. So we develop a position with 9 recommendations. I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just going to point out a few examples of what is being done currently, and then, well, bring you some elements on what we think should be further developed so that this great potential can actually be better used. So first, well, the cheapest energy, the one we don't use. So just here an example of the Trento region in Italy. Between 2000 and 2018, what they have done was they decided at policy level to focus on energy saving. We talked earlier about, Andrew Ford mentioned in France, the problem of old buildings. Here they decided that all the new public buildings should be built following the Class B standard of energy consumption, which means a reduction by 80% of energy consumption in comparison with old buildings. So that's a concrete action that can be done, that could be repeated in other regions. Then another example, it's about the use of local renewable sources of energy. And here we have an example from Romania, where they have built a sawdust plant for heating, for district heating in the municipality of Vatra Dornei. So they collect the sawdust from all the sawmills of the region, and with this, they can produce heat which is used for, well, the main part of the city. Actually, they produce heating for 83 residential buildings, so I don't know how many apartments it's in each building, but it's the main source of heating now in the city. This example is quite interesting because it's also the use of a byproduct of a local industry. So it's also a positive influence for the local economy. I was telling you earlier that mountain regions have ambitions about what they can do. So I just would like to mention now the example of the natural park of Vercors in France. Currently, they have 45% of the energy consumption, which comes from renewable energy. What they want to achieve is that by 2020, they would like this energy share to be up to 55%. And by 2020, they want to have 100% of the electricity production, which is from renewable energy. So, well, the two examples I just presented is based on wood, so on biomass energy. Well, just by accident, I could have taken other examples because we think that in every region, the energy mix, especially of renewable energy, should be adapted. Some regions have lots of food, some regions have more sun, more wind, like what is done currently in Spain. So it's also why those solutions are more complicated to set up because it has to be locally adapted. Another important point is how to, well, mountain regions and rural regions can produce energy and can then provide also energy to other regions. The question is about the fair return they can have. So here, the best example we have is from Norway, which produces lots of hydroelectricity. But then they have established, since 100 years already, a fair system so that all the municipalities where there's a dam, but also the lake, and which participate in the collection of water, get a fair return for this production of electricity. So it's not only the municipality where the dam is actually built, which has a fair return, but all the municipalities around. So that's an interesting example, which should be, according to us, replicated in other countries. So I will not go further in giving you examples, but my point here is that we believe that mountain can make a contribution. We have already some good examples, and we think that action should be taken further to facilitate the development of those actions and to use the opportunities that mountain areas can provide. So this support has to be provided at different levels. It's training and information, training for professionals, but also information for, well, citizens, policymakers at various levels. Those actions has to be done at all levels also, I mean, from local, regional level to EU level. Has to be tackled from different angles. Other things that can be done is about certification. Environmental certification should include energy certification as well. There should be more research also and development of new technologies. We have great expectations concerning local grids, energy storage, etc.